Good morning, good evening. How you guys doing? I like many of you, we don't always use PrusaSlicer, which is the default for BoxTurtle. We're going to be going over PrusaSlicer's settings for BoxTurtle. I'm using PrusaSlicer BOSS, which is a fork by Mr. mjonuschat. BOSS stands for Best of Super Slicers, so he's taken things from Super Slicer. He's also taken things from PrusaSlicer and forked PrusaSlicer and incorporated that. So if you see settings in here that you don't have in your standard PrusaSlicer, uh, just know that it's from the BOSS version. I'll put a link to his BOSS version, his GitHub. Everything's basically the same. Once again, just includes some things. So we're going to start at printers. General, you need your extruders at 4 right here, and then you need a single extruder multi-material. The rest of these settings your standard settings. Machine limits, this is always a question. These, I just use them as time estimates. You can omit them to G-code or ignore them. I use them for time estimates. I don't really change these. I don't omit them to G-code because I want to be in control, and I don't want the slicer to set these as my hard limits. So that's what I do. So in extruder 1, what you have to do, one of the key things is you set your retractions, you set your lift heights, your minimum layer heights, nozzle diameter, right? It's all kind of standard. This is the key right here, this setting right here. You want it really low. I think it defaults to 10 millimeters or 5 millimeters. What's the default here? 10. Way too big. You're going to end up with blobs on either your print or your purge tower. So set that to something small. I set it to 0.01, and then extra length on restart is 0. Once you set one of these, if you're using the same tool head, so say you're using all Revos, you're going to hit the apply here to all other extruders. The other thing is, next thing is single extruder multi-material setup. You want this to be 0, all zeros. And so that's what I do. Then you go over to filaments. Your filament, this up here is standard to whatever you want to set it to, what you normally use. Your cooling, I don't enable dynamic speeds, nor do I enable cooling time. These cooling thresholds slow down between layer time. What these will do is they will slow down your tool head, but it will change by changing your speed. Because as you guys watched all my videos, I'm trying to get rid of any sort of VFA, any sort of motor resonance coming into the belts and all that stuff. This will mess with that. You won't have control over the speed of your tool head anymore. So you could start picking up vibrations in your prints because of these. These are really good if you're only printing super slow, less than 50 or less, 50 millimeters a second or less. So I keep these turned off. I'm print PLA, so my fan speed is always 100. So the next thing you need to do in advanced, you have all these tool changer options. Set them all to 0. Now, for a super Prusa slicer, this filament load time and filament unload time, you need to time. These are used. So these 2 values right here are used to calculate the estimated print time of your print. So if you want an accurate print time, you need to take into account filament swaps. So how long does it take to load, and how long does it take to unload? You can sit there with your phone or a stopwatch or something and just measure it and stick that in. So we can see that I'm taking about a little over a minute per filament swap. So that's pulling it out, putting it back in. It adds up. These minutes add up. In BoxTurtle, how can you reduce these times? You can speed up your velocity and your acceleration of your tool change. That could have a negative effect. You can't go so fast that you push your filament through your PTFE tube. You can go so fast that'll just puncture it. The other thing you can do is shorten your Bowden length from the BoxTurtle to your print head. But depending upon how you route it, you're going to hit a minimum, and you're not going to be able to do it. So this is a negative of using a multi-material system such as the BoxTurtle. The AMS from Bamboo will have the same limitation. The only way to get away from this is to do something like a tool changer, like a stealth changer, or the Prusa XL. You can get, you know, less than 30-second tool changes on something like that. But as a BoxTurtle or any sort of MMU kind of thing, you're going to have time, and you're just not going to be able to get faster than it. So that's another setting. Then you need to go into ramming settings. You need to set this at 0, and you keep going. You just keep reducing everything until it says no ramming at all, because you want no ramming. You hit OK. Purge volume multiplier. This value is based off of this value, but you can play with this value to get your purge block wider. Let me see if I have it here. So this is my, if I slice this, this is my little turtle I'm printing. Okay, so this one right now is not set up for purge block. Let's set it up for a purge block. So multiple extruders, actually we'll come back to this real quick. We got to hit another setting first. So filament overrides, there's nothing there. I'm not overriding this filament. Custom G code. Okay, so what can happen is if you're using a purge block, or if you're moving that filament, it's going to, PrusaSlicer is going to set your pressure advance to 0 on the purge block, and it will never set it back. I have a macro called adjust pressure advance. If you don't have the macro, I forget. I'll put the command below. But basically, in here on your start G code for your filament, you're going to want to reset your pressure advance to whatever the pressure advance of the filament is. So right now this is my thing. So I'll basically, it'll do, if it does a purge block, it'll do the purge block, but it'll set the pressure advance to 0 first, and then this G code comes in and it will reset the pressure advance after it's done with the purge block. This is kind of important, or you're going to be getting, you know, 0 purge or 0 PA. I will give the generic. There's a generic Klipper macro or Klipper G code you can put in here to fix it. And I'll put that in the description. So all this stuff right here is all standard stuff. Infill, all standard stuff. The only that matters here really is multiple extruders. You just leave these all at 1. It's if you're doing support, or you say you got PETG in 1, you can say that your support interface extruder was going to be the one with the PETG. Ooze prevention on, because we're doing single extruder, you're not going to have any ooze prevention. The wipe tower, if you have a wipe tower, these are the settings. You're going to have extra flow here, 100. So that 20, remember that 25 back here? That 25. So if we go into our thing and we set it, let's go here. We're going to set it there. It should do it, or we may have to go back one more step. Alright, so there's my little purge block. Put it down in the middle. Okay, so now we're going to change that setting from 25 to 100. We're going to go back. We're going to slice it again. And not really. Okay, so to change the size of the purge block, we'll just leave that at 25. Go back to printers. Purging volume. Let's set it to, I don't know, 50 cubic millimeters. Alright, so that didn't change it. Slice it now. Alright, so you can see it's starting to get wider. So what we've done is we've set a value here, purge volume, we say it's 100 millimeters, cubic millimeters. And then we said, okay, in filaments, advanced, we say we only want 25%. So that's 25 cubic millimeters. If we do 100 here, it's a big old, we're getting, okay, so there's 3 settings and they're all working together. You have this purge volume, which is the maximum purge volume you're going to get per tool filament change. That can get limited by purge volume multiplier. So this right here in filaments is saying I want 100% of the 100 cubic millimeters. Then you have, in printing settings, multiple extruders, you have extra flow for purging. And then wipe tower lines, right, so this one we say at 200%, and we go back, we're going to get bigger. So you leave this guy at 100%. If this is all if you're doing a purge block. Many of you will just be pooping and no purge block, or you'll be doing a combination of pooping and purge block. If you're doing pooping and purge block, or pooping and purge block, just set this to 0. If you are doing purge block only, just set it to 100. It's a nice round number. It makes it easy to do percentages. And then go in here to filaments, advanced, here, and then change this value. Or you can change it here and leave this one at 100. So you get a smaller, and then this is going to take some time to figure out how much you want to purge and all that, but you can either mess with you can either leave this alone at 100 and use this to adjust it at 25, or vice versa. If you're not using a purge block, set this to 0. Yeah, and that's easy. Or if you're doing poop and purge block, set this value to 0. All right, so we're here, and then, okay, so what's in advanced? Anything in advanced we need to look at? No. Output options. Oh, remember that pressure advance setting? You can do it one of 2 ways. You can say set pressure advance equal to 0, and then you can, so this is replace G code. I'm showing both ways. Okay, so print settings, output options, you have this command here, set pressure advance underscore advance, this whole thing, advance equal to 0. If you just put a semicolon in front of this, it will go through all the G code, find any time it sets pressure advance to 0, and comment it out. And see, just comments this out. And that's all you got to do. And then you don't have to do this. I do this anyway, because why not? I have the G code, and I may have multiple filament types or whatever. You can do it that way too. So that's basically it. Those are all the basic settings you need to do. Let's just go through. Is there anything in here? No. Oh, this is one of the features that you get. It's single perimeter on top surfaces. You can do on top surfaces. Only the topmost surface, you can disable it. And you can also do only 1 perimeter on first layer if you want. I like 3 perimeters on first layer, because why not? But you could do just 1. Let's see what else we got here. Infill. Nothing here that you need. I don't use a square brim. Support material. Nothing there. Speeds. Nothing there. So this dynamic overhang speed is different than the filament's cooling speed of dynamic fan speeds and cooling thresholds. This, in printing settings, dynamic overhang speed, it will set that. You can set this as the speed for the overhangs, and you can set good speed, so you're still fully in control. In this section, filaments cooling, you are not in control of the speeds. You are just in control of the speed for 75, the fan speeds, and the cooling, the total layer time. So this gives you more control, and you can play with these values. Multiple extruders, we talked about this. These are all wipe tower stuff. So if you just disable it, you don't need to worry about it. And then these are all, you want this at 0. Okay, so if you are using a wipe tower, make sure this is set to 0 so it'll use all the tool heads. Well, the same tool head, all the filaments in the tool head. And that's advanced. Do we have anything here we need? No. So that's it. Those are the settings. The big one you want to make sure that will screwed me up and screwed a bunch of other people up is this one right here. Retraction when tool is disabled. That's the one you want. So I hope this helps. And there's my little turtle. And I hope you guys helps you with your box turtles and getting your settings right. Thank you, and have a good night and good morning.